Doing well. I'm actually trying to come on and do a live stream. Hold on, let me just turn my camera this way. So I actually wanted to come here and talk about Tyler Perry. And I know this is a few weeks ago, probably like a month ago, but I always wanted to make a video on this, but I never got a chance to talk about it. So I'm here now, and I actually wanted to talk about my disappointment in the Haves and the Have-Nots series finale. So I wanted to talk about how I am a longtime Tyler Perry fan since Diary of a Mad Black Woman, but then again, I'm a young millennial slash Gen Z, so I kind of didn't know any better. I actually wanted to talk about how I am starting to, not even starting to, but very much seeing what people are saying when it comes to Tyler Perry and his writing. And I am absolutely very disappointed in the writing, in the tropes, and in the constant copy and paste scenarios that Tyler Perry keeps putting in his movies and shows. Now, let me tell you this. I am a have and a have nots fan. I like some of the stuff that Tyler Perry has put out until recent years. I actually used to race at one point to go watch the haves and the have nots, but I have to say that I am much, just like If Loving You Is Wrong, I am very much disappointed in the series finale of the haves and the have nots. And I'm just going to say this: I can't stand Tyler Perry and his writing. I really do think that the man is stretching himself too thin. I do see that the quality of his work is dwindling more and more as the seasons of his shows go on and as he insists upon writing everything himself. And there's a guy on YouTube called Haves and the Have Nots Reviews. He reviews multiple Tyler Perry shows, mainly the Haves and the Have Nots. And even though the show has ended, he has still talked about it. And he's definitely touched on the need for Tyler Perry to get a writer's room. And he's not the only one. There are so many people, Black women and his target audience, who patronize and have patronized his earlier work and until now. And after A Fall from Grace, that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for some people. And when I first found out that he was going to come out with Sisters and Bruh and everything like that, I kind of was excited. But when I saw the comment sections, because this was posted on a page called Baller Alert on Instagram, and initially hearing that he's coming out with two shows, this is when he came out with Sisters. He came out with a show called Ruthless and Bruh after Sisters in the Oval. And when I saw that, at first I was kind of, at first when Tyler Perry came out with these shows, I was like, okay, good for him. He's coming out with more shows. It's good to see that he's coming out with content. Now, somebody please in the comments section, write your ideas or write your opinions on Tyler Perry shows. I really want to have a discussion here because I really feel like so many people have a lot of. Oh shit! Seriously? Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, guys. I really feel like a whole lot of people have a lot of stuff to say when it pertains to Tyler Perry shows. And I wanted to touch on that. So please put in the comments section your thoughts, and not only on Tyler Perry stuff, but Tyler Perry movies. So please let me get this thing set up. I am so sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. Oh my God, I have to glue this thing down. Now I feel like I need a new tripod. Okay, I think we're back in business. I am so sorry, guys. What is going on with this? And it's raining again. It's been raining on and off for so many hours now. Okay, so where do we go from here? So anyway, I wanted to touch on how Tyler Perry is there's so many things I have to say, so I'll start, pacing myself right now. So when I first found out about the haves and the have-nots, a show called All My Children had just ended. And when that ended, I kind of felt like it was ended incomplete. But the thing about it, All My Children has been on for 40 plus years. There are rumors now, side note, that there are rumors that they say the show is going to be coming back. I don't know how true that is, but I heard a lot of fans want to see it come back, and I'm actually here for it. Now, granted, the show has been off for over 10 years because it ended in 2011. And I was so upset. I remember the date that it ended. Oh my gosh, I was so upset. But now, when I found out the haves and the have nots, it kind of felt like a soap opera vibe. And that was another show. That was the first show since House of Pain that came from Tyler Perry, and it premiered on OWN. And it makes sense that Tyler Perry shows would premiere on OWN. He had like four shows on OWN. He had the haves and the have nots. Then he had If Loving You Is Wrong. And he had For Better or Worse. And then he had Love Thy Neighbor. I never saw Love Thy Neighbor. I was just not that into it. Okay. But anyway, so watching the haves and the have nots, I kind of got into it the mid first season, like kind of already when it started, not necessarily from episode one, but from season one. Now, I was hooked on it almost immediately, and mainly because it kind of filled the void that all my children left when it ended. Now, I remember watching it for the first few seasons, and I loved it, and I would race to go and watch the show. There were times where, the season or mid-season finales, sometimes with all the mid-season finales, it was hard to keep up with, but I would just say that, oh my God, my favorite show is coming back. I love the show. And the fact that it was on OWN, because I'm not surprised Tyler Perry and Oprah are always working together. It's really cool. So it makes sense. But I personally think that as the seasons went on and people were starting to say, Tyler Perry, enough of these, same old tropes, enough of the bad writing, enough of you writing everything yourself, get a writer's room. Now, as the seasons went on with the haves and the have nots, with all his other shows that are coming out now, with things like Sisters and The Oval, and how he ended If Loving You Is Wrong, as the seasons went on, I was like, yeah, I see what these people are saying. I see where people are coming from. Stop writing everything yourself. At first, the very first time I started hearing criticism towards Tyler Perry's writing, I started saying, well, he's made all this success, da da da. I'm not gonna lie, I was low key kind of giving him excuses. But as the seasons went on, I said, yeah, I see where people are coming from. These storylines are not making any sense. The dialogue is dragged out. These new characters being introduced and these plot lines, these subplots, and that have not been fulfilled. So for instance, with the If Loving You Is Wrong, we don't know what happened to Joey. We don't know the situation with Julius. It's like Tyler Perry only listened to the people that said, okay, the bad guy's got to die. And so it's like, okay, this is the last episode. This is the last season. So, and the storylines just keep shifting, but it's like they don't connect. So the last season, it's like, oh, who is Alex? She that baby is not Randall's, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, where's the connection? And I think Tyler Perry is stretching himself too thin with the writing. So as it pertains to the haves and the have-nots series finale, because I was so disappointed with the If Loving You Was Wrong series finale, now some people say it's because Oprah's been telling him you need to get a writer's room and this, that, and the third. And I agree with Oprah in that case, because it was starting to get to the point where even she could see, like, look, this show started off really good, but as time wears on, it's dragging out, and it's like it's not making any sense anymore, and it's not what it once was. And Tyler Perry got dragged one time where he showed all these scripts where he says, people ask me who writes my stuff, and he said, oh, I write all my stuff. That's work ethic. But he got dragged on Twitter and saying, look, you can consider it work ethic because he says that if you want to be rich, work like you're broke. And that sounds like good advice, but come on now, you can't write 10 million and one shows. And, he calls it work ethic, but then the people in the comment section, even his fans, forget all the people giving him good praise and, commenting good things. I'm seeing so many people in comment section. There's a website called brokensilence.net that shows the haves and the have-nots, and all types of Black media content. And this same people in the comment section are like, Tyler Perry, stop with this. This makes no sense. Da 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 da. You need a writer's room. We want this person killed off because their character is like meaningless now. And that sucks because, for instance, Wyatt, one of the characters, Wyatt, he started off when he was about to get clean and he met this girl and it was going great. And then I understand there's a chance of relapsing when it comes to people who may be addicted to drugs, but it's like there was no redemption arc. There was always, and that's what I don't like about Tyler Perry's writing. Every time there seems to be a good moment, that good moment only lasts for so long, and then he just goes back into the drama and the trauma and the pain and the struggle and this, that, and the third. He doesn't let that, whole thing last, which is why I was so pissed at the writing. And I personally think that he has a peptide addiction, like what Kendall St. Charles calls, where you're just so used to the drama, the trauma, the pain, the negative stimuli that, when the good thing comes around or the polar opposite to all that negativity comes around, you call it boring. It's not good enough for you. I think Tyler Perry is addicted to writing drama because he feels that's what works. Because, let's just be honest, his whole career in writing and screenplay playing and movie making and filmmaking has to deal with some type of drama, trauma, pain, and then maybe some type of Jesus worship, church, and redemption stuff. And it's worked for the longest time. And I have to say, we as Black people and specifically Black women, we made him a billionaire off of it. However, this is 2021 and we want new material. Okay, but then again, I feel like he thinks that, why don't fix what isn't broken. And I think that's partially our fault to blame. But let me not get off topic. Let me talk about the haves and the have nots. So, as it pertains close to the series finale, I found myself skipping 4 episodes, not because I found myself skipping 4, 5, 6 episodes in because people in the comments section were like, we are 3, 4, 5 episodes in now, and we've still yet to get to the main point. That's the same thing that happened with the reboot of the House of Pain. And I did not like how it ended the first time, but when I looked at the comment section for the very first episode on the BET's YouTube page, they were mostly negative. Like, people were happy to see the show back, but it was like 3 episodes in and we're just getting to the point. And that's another problem with Tyler Perry's writing. The dialogue is constantly dragged out. The dialogue is taking forever to get to the main point. And you're talking about the haves and the have-nots, which is like an hour long versus, the House of Pain, which is like 30 minutes long. And the same thing happened with The Pains. When he came out with The Pains, that got canceled after 1 season, when he came out with The Pains on OWN. And I'm just like, look, I'm happy that he's giving these people a job, but I'm looking at the storyline and the dialogue, and half of the episode we're still in the same scene. Half of the episode we're, not getting to the final point. And I feel like some people are criticizing the acting, but I don't necessarily think these people are necessarily bad actors, because I heard they're in other projects. There are some of them that are in other projects where they're really good. And I just think it's a case of good actors working with bad scripts, because it's happened before where, if any of you heard of the Last Airbender movie that is done by M. Night Shyamalan, and I did eventually see that movie, and if you're a real Avatar: The Last Airbender fan like me, we really don't acknowledge that movie unless we're hate watching it or hate criticizing it. Okay, we are actually upset at that movie, not only with the casting, but Dev Patel, who came off of Slumdog Millionaire, which won an Oscar. He's a pretty decent actor, but he was working with a bad script. So sometimes it is a case of, the acting's not bad, but the script and the person writing and directing is bad. And that's the case with some of these actors when it comes to Tyler Perry shows. The only pro that I can see with Tyler Perry creating all these shows as lackluster, bad, low quality, poorly written or badly dialogued written as these are, is the fact that he's just giving people opportunities and jobs. There are people who have been in his screenplays and played in certain major or minor roles in some of his old movies and shows that are now still working today on some of his new stuff, because, he's given these people opportunities. And I said this in a previous video of mine, where he is giving people a job and giving people opportunities. So that is the only pro that I see coming out of Tyler Perry, especially for black actors. So and he's built, one of the biggest studios, and that's great. But you need to shift and you need to extend and expand the opportunity proportion of what you do to black writers, specifically black female writers. You need to have black female writers, Tyler Perry, writing for sisters, because how are you a black man? And other black women commentators have said this. Even those who are fans of yours have said this. Why are you, as a black man or as a man, writing a show about black women? It's kind of like you're trying to be Girlfriends 2.0, but it's not clicking like Girlfriends 2.0. And I also have to talk about the production quality of his shows. Bro, you're a billionaire, or from what Forbes says, you're a billionaire. And I'm saying, why does your work look so cheap? What about, do those wigs look so cheap? And that's another people that's another reason people came after you. They're like, the wigs look so cheap, Dollar General, larger than life of their own type stuff. You're a billionaire, you can afford quality wigs. And I feel like he says that if you want to be rich, work like you're broke. But I'm like, bro, even when you had less money, even when you had less wealth than you did now, your production quality, even in the stage plays, seemed to have been much better. I did not know that Shamar Moore was wearing a wig when he played Orlando in Diary of a Mad Black Woman. I thought that was his real hair because, back in the day, that was cornrows, and it was cornrows, and this was the 2000s. So I did not know Shamar Moore was wearing a wig back in Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Put it in the chat, guys. What do you think about, if you've seen the Haves and the Have-Nots series finale, put that in the comment section, your thoughts, because I was very disappointed. Back to what I was saying. I definitely didn't know that was a wig, but then again, I was a child, so looking back on it, when I rewatch it again, I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. But that's another thing too with Tyler Perry. His production quality was much better when he had less money than he does now. So why are you working so cheap? I'm not saying you have to break the bank, or maybe you spent all that money with that studio, I don't know, but I'm not saying you have to break the bank. But when you have such pride in saying, hey, I created A Fall from Grace in 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks. I'm like, yeah, we can tell. The story was rushed. The plot was rushed. The guy became a complete a-hole in a matter of 5 minutes. Like, there was really no substance. It was basically like what people are saying. You're trying to work with quantity over quality, and it's affecting the quality. And I feel like this was the last straw for a lot of Tyler Perry and Haves and the Have-Nots fans. Though I'm happy that these actors got a job and these actors are still working, like Tika Sumpter, who's been working in, soap operas because she was on One Life to Live. It's good to see that he is keeping her working, and people like Tyler Perry will give you an opportunity if you ask for it. Like that woman who put up a billboard and said, Tyler Tyler Perry, give me a job, and then he gave her a job. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate Tyler Perry on that front, but it kind of makes no sense when, you also have to rely on viewership. He had a show called Too Close to Home, which premiered on TLC, but that got canceled after 2 seasons. And part of the reason I believe it got canceled after 2 seasons is because, the writing and the quality and the characters and some part the acting was just lackluster for the show, and he wasn't going to get a lot of viewership because TLC will probably get a lot of non-black viewership, mainly white viewership, versus BET which will get mostly black viewership. And to be honest, I feel like the only reason there's a mutual let me not go off topic. I feel like the reason that Tyler Perry puts his stuff on BET and BET-based platforms is that BET won't say no to him because, one, they're desperate for content, and two, Tyler Perry is the one big name in Hollywood or Black Hollywood that will give them, the content that they need. I think that, hey guys, peace. Who's this? I'm sorry. Hold on. Let's see, Peace, the Truth Forum. Hi, it's so good to see you. So I personally think that the real reason there's a mutual agreement between BET and Tyler Perry because When I look at BET now, I don't care what you want to say about it being owned by Viacom, because to be honest, I don't think Viacom has 100% to do with the lackluster quality that's going on with BET. I really don't think it has too much to do with it, because even when it was first owned by Viacom, BET was still putting out good content. But anyway, I think that uh, Tyler Perry puts his stuff on BET because they won't say no. Even if his quality is lackluster, BET is desperate for content. Every time I look at BET nowadays, it's more so reruns of Tyler Perry movies, and it's Tyler Perry content. And I'm just like, BET, Tyler Perry can't save you. And I think that part of the reason that there are people who will still tune in is because Tyler Perry is more of a recognizable name. And you do have people, unfortunately, in our community that don't focus too much on quality. I'm just going to be honest. And that's not to insult us. That's not to insult us. That's just to say that some of this stuff that Tyler Perry's putting out is completely lackluster. It doesn't have to be Oscar or Emmy worthy to be a good show, but come on now, we should want better for ourselves. And the what I don't like about the Tyler Perry's writing, it's not just the lackluster quality, it's the same old copy and paste tropes, and people are catching on. I'm catching on, where it's more so he's just putting the same stuff he has in his screenplays and his movies, especially when it comes to black women in relationships. It's just like, it's the same old, same old. Oh, she's in drama, trauma, pain. She's going through it. Black struggle, love. It's not, it's honestly just getting old. And some people even say that one of his best movies was Good Deeds. I saw the movie Good Deeds. Again, it was rushed. It was, the storyline was different from, the same, but there was still a part of a black woman in trauma, drama, and pain. Like there was this homeless woman, or she was on the verge of losing her job. And to be honest, I personally think that Tyler Perry is copying and pasting these same tropes because that's all he knows. And he's a Gen Xer, he kind of, or a boomer, I don't know exactly what year he was born. He grew up at a time and he's dealt with trauma in his life. He's been open about that on Oprah's show. He's talked about that. But I personally think that Tyler Perry truly hasn't healed from his own trauma, and he puts what he's seen, what he's experienced first and second hand, not only with the black women in his life, like his mother, but as well as himself. He puts that out into the world, and I feel like he hasn't truly healed from it. And I also do think that because he's making money off of this stuff, that he's not going to stop, and maybe he feels like if he stops doing it, that it won't make him enough money, because in his mind, why fix what isn't broken? But then at the same time, I also do feel like he doesn't know how to write from a place of true joy and true non-struggle and true happiness and peace. Like, I really don't think he truly knows that. He'll only let that last for a while, like in the haves and the have-nots, where Candace and Hannah finally made up, and I'm like, please let this last for a long time. And of course it fell apart. And I feel like he did the same thing with the haves and the have not. I mean, the same thing with the If Loving You Was Wrong. And I personally think even it got to the point where Oprah was like, bro, you need a writer's room. I'm listening to the public, and maybe she's watching it, and she said, we need a writer's room. One of the things that I feel like Greenleaf, although I think was rushed a little bit at the last season, but they planned on having a 5-season show, and I feel like Greenleaf is a much better written show than the last few seasons of the haves and the have-nots and If Loving You Is Wrong. Everything is always rushed, and I get it. When the TV series or a TV channel or network pulls the plug on your show, you're going to have to, scramble and write, whatever you can in order to, fill that void quickly. And it doesn't always, look the same. I mean, it doesn't always come out the way you may have intended. It may not always come out like a true season finale, or series finale, I should say. I enjoyed the first few seasons of Greenleaf. Yeah, you know what? The first few seasons was good, Truth Forum. That is I agree with you. I think maybe because it ended pretty weird, because remember, I heard they planned on having a 5-season show, and with the Greenleaf writers, producers, and directors, and all that stuff. I think the thing about that is, oh God, let me not lose my train of thought because I do not want to sound like I'm all over the place. I'm so sorry, you guys. Um, I think they were trying to figure out how they were going to properly end the show. And like I said, sometimes when the network says, okay, you're done, or you plan on having a five season show like Insecure will, unfortunately, it's going to be the last season. Oh, I can't believe it. But I think what the public wants is true closure. And when you try to give that, but you don't always execute, it can come off, it can come off pretty odd, if that makes sense. But yeah, the first few seasons were good, but as you get to, and I feel like nowadays shows struggle to even get past the 3 season mark. Back in the day, it seems like if you can get to close to 10 seasons, then you were going to be legendary status. You're going to be one of those shows that's either a classic, a cult classic, or completely legendary. So, for instance, even though I heard a lot of true Game of Thrones fans do not acknowledge the 8th season of Game of Thrones, and I binged watched it the entire series last year. I felt Game of Thrones was very overhyped and overrated, but I finally took a gander at it and I started watching the entire season. In the first few seasons, hard to follow, but it eventually grew on me. Um, but the first few seasons of the last season of Game of Thrones, I heard real Game of Thrones fans do not acknowledge because, and I understand why, because it was rushed. There were only 6 episodes. There were certain characters that didn't get the airtime that they kind of deserved from the 7th season. So it's kind of like that with Greenleaf as well as Tyler Perry shows. But back to Tyler Perry because I'm trying to stay on topic. So with that being said, let's talk about If Loving You Is Wrong for a minute. As the seasons went on, I think they had 5 seasons. It's so hard to keep up because there's so many mid-season finales that you don't know that which one is a season and which one isn't. So I I actually finished watching the If Loving You Is Wrong because I have a habit of not finishing what I start, and I wanted to finish what I started. So I started watching the later seasons of If Loving You Is Wrong, and I'm just like, there are just so many plot holes that Tyler Perry likes to open in his shows that he doesn't really close them and give us any closure in the series finale. So I remember this one scene where Kelly is in jail and for killing Travis, and someone on the inside kind of, or someone who was part of that church that his family owns, was giving her some inside advice, saying that there were other girls that Travis harassed and this, that, and the third. And she had all those pictures of those girls trapped in a Bible, and she had all those pictures of those girls in a Bible, and then Eddie came and took the Bible from her in her cell because it's like, oh, she's not allowed to have that being an inmate in the cell. She can't have outside stuff. But I'm like, she was trying to stop Eddie from getting the Bible with the pictures. But I'm like, why did Tyler Perry dumb down the character in order for her to, why did Tyler Perry dumb down her character instead of saying, why couldn't she take the Bible, the pictures from the Bible, and put it in her jumpsuit? Or why couldn't she hide it somewhere else or in her shoe or something? You know what I'm saying? Why does he dumb down the characters and extend the dialogue so much unrealistically because he wants to extend the life of his show even though it's coming to a close? And that's another thing that pissed a lot of people off, not only with the series finale of both of these shows, but with all of his shows. I find myself skimming through the show just to see if I can get to a good point because they're boring the hell out of me. And that's another thing too. That's why so many people were disappointed with shows like Assisted Living and the House of Pain reboot, because it was I was glad to see it back because there were a lot of loose ends that needed to be tied up. But I have found myself skimming through it, and I barely watched the House of Pain reboot, and that was like one of my favorite shows. So it's like, Tyler Perry, this is a sign. You need to extend the opportunities to Black writers. And you could be giving Black writers opportunities that white Hollywood probably couldn't do, but you're trying to close it off because you're still burned from what happened in '07. I think it's because the writers wanted to unionize, and I'm not sure. I think that may have happened during the writer's strike, because I remember there was a whole based on what I looked up, because there were a few shows that got canceled so soon, like Girlfriends and Just Jordan, and I wanted to know what happened. And when Tracy Ellis Ross did an interview, she said that, oh, this happened during the writer's strike. So there was a writer's strike that happened in like the mid late 2000s, where all these writers either wanted to unionize or wanted to quit because they weren't getting, paid enough by these shows. And I understand, if I was a writer, I would want to be getting paid my fair share. But Tyler Perry, his writers wanted to unionize or something for House of Pain originally and the Meet the Browns. And, he didn't want to do that. He didn't want them to do that. So now he insists on writing everything himself. Now, the pro to that, I'm sorry if I'm all over the place. Please let me know in the chat if you're following me, please. I want to know if I'm just rambling, babbling, or if you get what I'm saying. Sorry, guys. There's just so much to unpack here. Now, the pro to Tyler Perry saying he wants to write and own everything is the fact that ownership leads to generational wealth that he can pass on to his son that he has, and he can pass on to the future generations of him. So I get that there is a pro in that, but the con is it's going to affect the quality, and it is affecting the quality of your shows to the point where people are further and further, even diehard fans are criticizing and backing out. I actually, now you're good, Tana, you get it all off. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, now in terms of the, oh god, now I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry, you guys. So in terms of Tyler Perry saying I'm gonna write everything himself. Oh yes. After the series finale of the Haves and the Have-Nots, Tyler, I saw people on Haves and the Have-Nots review page. He did a whole live stream about it and asking people what he thought. I saw some people in his live comment section, as well as his comment section, regular comment section, saying that they don't even know if they're going to stand with Tyler Perry. They don't even know if they can continue watching Tyler Perry content because because after two disappointing series finales, or three, because I saw the For Better or Worse series finale, and that ended on a cliffhanger as well. And people are like, I don't know if I can sit through another Tyler Perry project or Tyler Perry content if I'm going to waste 8 years of my life. And that's true. The Haves and the Have-Nots had like 8 seasons. So it's kind of like, am I going to wait 8 years just for a disappointing series finale? Everybody died in the end. Spoiler alert. Everybody dies, or all the main characters died except for Hannah. And personally, I said this in another previous video of that I made of Tyler Perry, where I ranked the shows I liked from worst to best. And the Haves and the Have-Nots, I said, give us some closure. The good guys get what they deserve. The good guys get all the good things, and the bad guys get all the what they deserve. And I'm just like, everybody dies, even the good ones. And the like I said, the ending was rushed with the Haves and the Have-Nots series finale. Like, she was pregnant with the president-elect's baby, Candace, and then Jim with one hand just drowns her in a bathtub. Like, people are like, she could have put up more of a fight. I know she was badly beaten up by Mitch's family, but I'm saying there were so many ways and avenues that Tyler Perry could have written her to get out there. And I heard it's because, he's kind of parting ways with OWN, and he's just trying to scramble to finish up all his shows. But I'm saying there were so many ways you could have, especially if you stop being so stubborn and listen to the public and listen to Oprah and say, get a writer's room. I'm pretty sure you could have had a 10+ year season. You could have had like a soap opera legacy with the Haves and the Have-Nots, as well as If Loving You Is Wrong, because it gives me soap opera vibes. And you could have had like a whole 10-year plus career. You could have had a 40-year long show like oh god, who else, like All My Children and One Life to Live. You could have had all of that, but you chose to be stubborn because you're still burned from the trauma, and you keep putting all these same tropes in that people are getting tired of. Even your diehard Black women fans, they're getting tired of the same old tropes. And they're also getting tired of, how you just want to put Medea in everything. We thought the Medea phase was over, and I'm saying I'm glad you're moving on. Okay, Medea was here once, now it's time to retire that character. Nope, he's back with it. And personally think, I don't know if this is because Tyler Perry feels like he's making money off of this, so stop, don't fix what isn't broken, or it's because he just doesn't know how to break out of this character or these types of tropes and do something different. Because I heard he did something different with Alex Cross, and I heard a lot of people hated that. And I'm not gonna lie, the wig that he was wearing in the movie A Fall from Grace was, you could definitely tell that was a wig. I'm just saying, Tyler Perry, you're a billionaire. You can afford better hairstylists and you can afford better wigs. They don't have to break the bank or cost $1 million, but come on now. These Dollar General type store wigs, I'm sorry, you could do much better. You could do much better. And another thing too, I really did not like his character in Fall from Grace. He seemed very much like his character in that movie was kind of an asshole. I'm just gonna be honest. I did not like it. I did not approve of it. You know what I mean? No, I really did not approve of it. You're laughing, but I really did not approve of it. I was not okay. And some part of me feels like, and I like Tyler Perry. This is nothing against him. I like him, but it's just that I'm starting to see some of the characters that he's portraying, not him as an actor, but I'm saying all the other characters, all the other actors he's hiring as characters, like the Maurice character, and all these other characters. I'm starting to feel like this is something that there's something he's trying to tell us without telling us. You know what I mean? And that Boondocks episode that I heard he got banned, it's starting, some of that stuff is starting to sound like it's coming to fruition. I don't know. I feel like there's a hidden message in some of these characters he's trying to tell us about himself without actually telling us about himself. And I again, this is no hate, no shade, no disrespect. What I can like about Tyler Perry is the fact that he's literally built something out of nothing. He's literally a true story of Black excellence and Black success in terms of building and in terms of wealth. But everything else, it's kind of like, you need to listen to your fan base and your base that says get a writer's room. And I heard he's bringing on writers to assisted living, because I remember seeing the show, the first episode of that on BET's website, and I mean BET's YouTube page, and they're saying, "Oh, this is bad writing, bad acting. This show makes no sense. The dialogue is dragged out. Da 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 da. We're full 3-4 episodes in, and we're not even getting to the main point." That's why I skipped 4 episodes into the series, into the last season of The Haves and the Have-Nots, because I'm like, am I gonna enjoy this episode, or am I gonna be bored? Now let's talk about the characters. Oh God, I've been on here for over 30 minutes. Damn. Let's get into the characters. So I hated the fact that there wasn't a redemption arc all the way with Wyatt. A lot, by the ending, or by close to the ending of the show, a lot of people wanted Wyatt gone. They wanted him killed off. They're like, Wyatt, either get clean or just get off of the show. When even after multiple drug overdoses or multiple drug binges, Wyatt still had 9 lives. And even in the cops said it in the show, oh, this kid has 9 lives. And it's like, the audience is like, yeah, and we're tired of it. Get rid of him. And I hated that, because there was a season, I think it was the 3rd or 4th season of The Haves and the Have-Nots, where Wyatt was about to get clean, or Wyatt was part of this program. This girl was helping him out, and he was on the road to recovery. And then he saw a priest, and then he relapsed, which took him back to his, trauma days. It was just so weird. Like, oh my God, I was rooting for Wyatt. Like, cue the Tyra Banks meme. Like, I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? That was the case with Wyatt, because I'm saying he was so close to recovery, so close to redemption. And, then he relapses, and for the rest of the season, Tyler Perry can't write him to have another redemption arc. Like, the girl goes away, and then he's getting into problems with the mob, and he's getting into crime, and he's going back to drugs, and he's like, Catherine's been in jail the whole time for the 7th and 8th season. there's just so much stagnation and there's no real character development. And you know what I'm saying? And Veronica just keeps getting more and more evil. You have some people who love her, and then you have some people who love to hate her. To be honest, the characters are always so one-dimensional and stagnant. And like I said, I don't like how Tyler Perry likes to trick us with redemption arcs and with character development, and then you Flanderize. There's a term called Flanderization, which means, you know, characters become stale or they develop backwards, or, you know, they become just their personality and there's no character development or character arc. One thing that makes a good show is a good character development. You know what I'm saying? Or even if the characters stay one dimensional, they have these little moments in further episodes where they are, mainly in sitcoms, where they are, you know, different even for a day. So like the dumb character who has a smart moment, or is smart for a day or something like that. Like for instance, one of the things that made one character development arc that I really liked was Calvin in the original House of Pain. Like when he started out, he was a kid who was in college for 7 years. He was immature. He was mooching off of his parents. You know, he was basically like a Pookie and a Ray Ray, right? To a certain degree. But once he met Miranda, and once he went through all these trials and tribulations in his life, and once he, you know, he had different character moments and character arcs, he became mature when he found out he had a son, when he got married, he grew up, he eventually graduated college. So that was one thing that made, that's how, you know, I think the common denominator that's making Tyler Perry shows good are good writers. So that's why he probably needs to go back to a writer's room. I don't care if he was burned, just make sure that they're good quality writers and that you pay them well enough so maybe they won't have to unionize. Okay? But I'm just saying. Oh god, let me fix this. Hold on. Oh god. Okay. Okay, I'm back. So that's another thing too with Tyler Perry's writing. I'm so sorry if I'm going all over the place, but I'm trying to get this all off of my chest, okay? And I want people to talk. Like, tell me what you think about Tyler Perry's shows, old and new. Cause I've taken a gander. So far, the main show that I really like is Ruthless. I think that was in the beginning, of course, well written, and it was well acted, and there was a lot of suspense. And I think that's why Tyler Perry keeps hooking us in, because the writing may be bad, the dialogue may be dragged out, the acting may be not up to par all the time, even if it's not just the actors. But the suspense of the show is what's really keeping people coming back, because you always want to find out what's happening next. But when it gets to the point where the straw breaks the camel's back, and I feel like Tyler Perry's sinister almost in that sense. Like, you know, he knows how to use good suspense to keep us coming back next week. But the more and more people are just getting pissed off at how this episode of a show, especially if it's an hour long, really doesn't go anywhere, we're just like, should I even tune in next week? Again, when I first started watching The Haves and the Have-Nots, I used to race to go watch that show. I'm like, oh my God, Haves and the Have-Nots is on. I used to record that on my DVR. Now I only started watching the show just to, one, catch up because I want to finish what I started, and two, I wanted to, and two, because I was just like, it's something I watch when I have nothing else to watch. Because and what sucks is because he's putting these black pieces of content on a black catered to show, and I'm seeing better black content on other non-black catered to shows. So for instance, Insecure is well written, well, acted, storylines are really good, and unfortunately it's ending. But I'll see other shows that have a black cast or even not, and they're better written, and I find those more entertaining. And it kind of is sad, because it's bad enough people think that anything that's catered to, made for, about, or centered around black and black people are already lackluster, that they're undervalued, that they're cheap, that they're, not as good quality. And that is not always the case. But when you have a black catered to network, and I don't care what you want to say about it being owned by Viacom, because part of me feels like Viacom doesn't have 100% to do with it. I think it's the execs. I think it's the people who are running things at the channel, because Viacom may own the channel, but I think where it comes to the creative control, there are black people in charge that are dropping the ball. Because when Viacom first owned BET, they still put out good content. But now I feel like it's those execs or the people in charge at the place that are really causing some of the lackluster quality in there. And I, oh God, let me not let this drop off. Okay. And I personally, let me get my thoughts together. Sorry, guys. I really wish I had written all this down. Um, and I think that's why Tyler Perry again only puts his stuff on channels like BET. BET needs the content, they need the name recognition, they need the fan base, even though it's niche. And I think it's dwindling at this point because I'm seeing a lot of younger people like me calling out Tyler Perry for the tropes and the bad writing. So that those older folk generations, they're not going to be around for much longer. Viacom or I agree, Viacom or not, I don't think that would change anything. Yes, I said the exact same thing too. I said the exact same thing. I said I don't believe Viacom because every time something pisses us off with BET, I see black people say, "Oh, well, it's owned by Viacom. It's not even black owned anymore." To be honest, I think black owned or not, we would still be in this situation if the people don't actually focus on quality over quantity. If the execs over at the place are not doing a good job, you can forget whether it's owned by Viacom. Because, like I said, I don't think Viacom. Maybe there's a nook or a cranny or some loophole in the contract about Viacom owning BET. Maybe they do have some creative control. I don't know. But to be honest, Viacom is just the station, is just the company that owns the channel. It's not. Ooh, there's a fly in here. Damn. It's not the sole say it's not the end all be all say so of BET. They're execs and they're people in charge at the channel that I think are completely dropping the ball. Now, granted, some content is still good. I haven't seen American Soul yet, but I heard that looks pretty good. 20s I haven't seen yet, looks pretty good. There have been good pieces of content that have been shown. There have been good pieces of content that have been shown on BET in recent years. So the quad was good. I haven't seen Boomerang. I'm waiting. I'm still waiting on games people play. So what I find funny about BET is that they'll have good pieces of content that only last like 2 seasons and then they get canceled. And personally, I feel like if you put this same piece of content like on Netflix or HBO, they would last longer. I don't know. The only reason I think Tyler Perry, or not the only reason, but part of the reason I think Tyler Perry keeps putting his shows on BET and BET networks is because I think he's funding it himself because he has the money for the most part. So I personally think that's why these shows keep getting 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons, even when like the quality is so lackluster. And there were other shows like The Quad that I think could have lasted up until 4 seasons. And I'm so upset that The Quad has ended after 2 seasons. But then again, it took a while for it to come back. I personally think games people play, if it's back already, please let me know. I personally think games people play will only have, this is going to be the last season. They're saying it's coming back from a second season. Lauren London is on it. But I personally feel like unless it does really well, this is going to be its last season because it's been like a year or two. And I understand, the panorama took I understand the panorama stopped a lot of production for shows because I'm still waiting on the last season of Claws and Dear White People. It's funny how I didn't forget that, but I'm just saying, like, there's so much other content, black center, black based, and black cater to content that I'll see on other networks that are doing well and can do well. But you go to BET, I'm not sure, is BET cursed or something? Because even when I noticed that shows that got canceled, especially off of VH1, like Single Ladies and Hit the Floor, but when they went on BET or BET networks, that was their last season. It failed. And I was so disappointed. I was disappointed in the 4th season of Single Ladies, 6 episodes, and it's canceled. And I was so pissed. And same thing with Hit the Floor. I hope James LaRosa, who wrote Hit the Floor, comes back with a new show. I hope he comes back with a new season. Oh my gosh, I've been here for almost an hour. Oh shoot. Sorry guys. I'm on a tripod and it's actually failing me right now. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. This is going to be bad when I put it up officially. But you know what? This is my first time and we're just going to keep the show going. Yeah. So have any of you seen like Tyler Perry shows and what are your thoughts on the writing? Please, I want to have an actual discussion. I've been here an hour and I have not seen, people's except for the Truth Forum, shout out to you. I haven't seen other people's opinions cuz so all Tyler Perry shows are off of OWN, but like most of them are on BET or BET networks. The only show right now that's getting good with me that I've checked out is Ruthless. And I only know, I think it's season 3 now or it's coming season 3. I only know it's a matter of time before that show becomes lackluster. And I'm so sick of that woman who plays Maud, aka Elder Mother. I think she's Caribbean in real life, but I hate that they're portraying her as Jamaican because I'm Jamaican American, but I feel like, I'm so sick of the bad accents by some people portraying Jamaicans. I'm not sure if she is Jamaican, but I think she's Caribbean in real life. I haven't seen a full season of them. I don't have cable. Oh, you kind of don't need it. Wait, you don't even have internet? If you have internet, you could go to this site called brokensilence.net and they have a whole list of content that's catered to even reality TV that's catered to black content. So they have like bruh, they have sisters, they have haves and the have nots. So you have to try it. So yeah. Oh, I meant to mention this thing about the haves and the have nots series finale. When Candace was drowning in the bathtub, I'm like, first of all, that is like a small place to drown. I understand she was beaten very badly. Maybe she couldn't move. But come on now. I'm pretty sure you should have mustered up all that adrenaline because you were pregnant. And to be honest, I knew it was kind of like I feel like he wanted to end it Shakespearean, but I'm like, bro, Tyler Perry, you're not Shakespeare. I think he wanted to end it in a Shakespearean way where it was like the main characters die off and then you have that one lone survivor. Like there's a trope called the final girl and Hannah was the final girl. And I think he played into that trope kind of. But anyway, um with that being said, I feel like Tyler Perry could have. Oh damn it! I feel like Tyler Perry could have written it better because I'm like, girl, you had connections to real authority power. You had connections to the president elect. If the mob was bothering you and you felt like your life was in danger, you don't think you could have called the president elect and got all that security and this, that, and the third? And there was another character that was like, kind of trying to get Landon's job. He was like a trust fund type baby, guy. And I'm just like, Tyler Perry, this is why you need writers, man. You need a group of writers to brainstorm and think of which way this can go. You doing this all by yourself is like just ruining the show. And I feel like he focuses too much on the few people that are giving him the compliments, but he's not focusing on the people that are, that are fans that are truly saying, hey, no, as fans, this is what we want to see and this is what we don't want to see. He's not listening to that. And again, his audience is going to become more niche and it's going to become more niche and it's also not going to help him in viewership and money. So he said he was since last year that he was thinking about. I'm so sorry guys, man, this tripod is just running its course. He said he was trying to get a writer's room, but I think it's because of all the backlash. I really do believe it's because the backlash got to the point where even diehard fans are saying nope. And I heard he keeps saying that his show is like the number one on cable television. I'm not sure how true that is. I doubt that. And I think the viewership will start dwindling and dwindling and dwindling because even with Sisters, I'm looking at each episode and I'm like, There's this whole episode where her fiance was having a therapy session, and he had a woman on top of her with his therapist. Even though I understand that there are people who can do unorthodox methods for even if there are people who do unorthodox methods in like medicine or therapy, trust me, I studied psychology in college. I would I would feel like this is just another case of Tyler Perry's bad writing. Like I do not buy for a second that this stuff would be considered realistic, even if it's a fictional show. I don't know. Like I can't. I really wish you had seen a full season. Have you ever seen the haves? Not the haves and the have-nots. House of Pain, like back when it was on in I think '06. Have you seen it? Please tell me you've seen it. Please tell me you have seen it. Because you were like, I don't have cable, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure you've seen the original House of Pain. And if you want to check out an episode of a show, you can go onto the BET YouTube page, and there's at least one full episode of, or three full episodes of the House of Pain, the original, and you can see what we're talking about. I'm telling you, it's not the same. The essence isn't there. The only thing that has changed is the decoration and the background of the show. Oh, I have seen from back then. Okay, so you've seen the original. Okay, that's good. But you have to at least check out the new episode. First of all, Malik, the guy who played Malik, lost a lot of weight, and there were certain people like clowning him in the comment section. He did lose a lot of weight, and because he had so much excess skin, it kind of made him look a little older. But he lost a lot of weight, and I'm proud of him because this is coming from someone who used to be overweight. I lost weight too, so you know what I'm saying. Sometimes when you have so much excessive weight from when he was younger in the halves not House of Pain, when he was younger from the original, he was definitely really big, and he did lose the weight, and he was left with so much excess skin. I've seen this happen before with people who were super overweight, like 600 plus pounds, and when they lose all that weight, yeah. I don't know if he still has to get more surgery, but hold on. I hate to repeat and I hate to ramble, but I have so much to get off my chest now. Hopefully when I save this, if I save this live video, that it doesn't sound weird to people. Please, I hope it doesn't. This is like my first live video from YouTube, and there's so many flaws in it already. Um let's see. So I think I'm going to give my final thoughts. Oh, guys, there is a sale going on. I have a sale going on in my Etsy shop where I will have candles. Scented candles will be for 10% off from this day to Friday. From today's the 23rd, so it will end 4 more days from now. So that'll be the 27th, 28th. So Friday will be the last day. Hats and headbands are 20% off just in time for the fall season. So if you or somebody you know wants a scented candle, go and check my Etsy shop down below. I will leave that link in the description box. So you can get scents like Orange Blossom. I know you can't see it because of the lighting. This is called Orange Blossom. This one is Banana Nut Bread. I have things like Pineapple Sage. I know it looks backwards. Pink Sugar Crystals. And those are just actually the new scents that I added. I'm actually going to be adding even more new scents coming this fall season. So stay tuned for that. Okay. So that's just my final thoughts, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. I had a semi good time, I had a semi good time doing this live video. I'm trying to get better at being in front of the camera, doing live. I haven't been on YouTube in a while. And it's just kind of great to be back so you guys can see my face. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next one. Oh gosh, how do I turn this off?